Hello and good morning. My name's Andrew Jones, and with me, like usual, is Neil Greggor. Morning, Neil.
Morning, Andrew. Nice to be back.
I say you're with us this time after missing last month. A trip overseas. How was it?
Yeah, very nice. I went and visited Denmark. It's absolutely brilliant. Lovely cows, lovely people. Fantastic.
Can't argue with that then. And we missed us, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I kept thinking, I wish I was there.
So it's obviously the Chewing the Cud podcast. This is season 2, episode 4, and today we've got 2 guests with us. A little bit different than we've done before. We've got one remotely and one with us, so fingers crossed. And we still have a puppy floating around somewhere, hopefully behaving himself. So our guests today are Janette Mathie, who is Head of Field Services from CIS, and Karen Reeve, who is Area Manager for the South of England. So good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew.
And we felt we ought to have you on after we got NMR on earlier in the year, and I didn't want you getting upset, Karen.
You wouldn't want that, would you?
No, I definitely wouldn't want you upset, would I? So anyway, and it also happens to be good coincidence or bad coincidence, I don't know. Obviously, CIS have got their Power of the Milk sample, should we call it promotion? I can't think of a better word for it, running at the moment, but this has been in the diary for 6-9 months. It just happens to be coincidence that we're doing this as we're, that's going on as we're recording it. So as usual, we'll start with the pair of you. How did you get to where you are? So if we start with you, Janette, how did you, I guess, come into the industry and get to the position where you are today?
Okay, Andrew. Well, I've been involved with agriculture since I was born. My father was a shepherd. My ex-husband, should I say, was a dairy farmer's son. So I have been involved in the industry for a long, long time. When my children started school, I decided that I wanted to go back to work, but wanted something that was going to fit in round about them. So I started milk recording on a contract basis. Recording about 10 local farms. And then as the time went on, my manager was retiring, so I applied for her job and was lucky to get it. When deregulation of the milk marketing boards came in, it opened up the borders, as you say. Before that, NMR didn't come north of the border and CIS didn't go south.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know.
Yeah, no, that was the arrangement because both the milk recording organisations were associated with either the Milk Marketing Board or the Scottish Milk Marketing Board. That was the arrangement, but that changed.
What was that, 1st of November 94, was it?
That's correct, yes.
Oh, so prior to that, it was
very much a Scottish-English divide.
Oh.
And because I live at Lockerbie and I was nearest the border, I was the one that was sent south of the border to go and canvass. So that's just how it started, and now we actually have more farms in England than what we do in Scotland, and bringing in Wales as well. So we now milk record from Orkney down to Land's End, and everywhere else in between. And moving on for that, I became regional manager. And then in 2018, I took over from the late Sue Cope as head of field services for Cattle Information Service. And the rest, as I say, is history. This is where I am today, and thoroughly enjoy it.
And Karen, I guess it's your turn, because I should say you and I originally met when you were milk recording for NMR, and we used to talk about cows probably rather than milk recording, if I'm honest.
Yes, we met in a farm near Shaftesbury.
Yes,
if I remember.
Did. Yes.
Prior to that, I had been working on various dairy farms. My ex-partner in those days went on to farms that were waiting to get new management in.
Yep.
And we'd go in and we'd
just
sort
temporary.
Them out. Yeah, some would be a couple of weeks, some would be months. And I started off really with the calf rearing and milking, and then I worked up to assistant on a very large unit. And we were settled there and thought it was going to be long term. And then one day the boss came in and said, the cows are going. 3 weeks later, gone, the whole lot. So I moved back to Somerset. And
did you spend some time in Canada?
No, I went on one of those tours.
Oh, was that what it was?
I went on one of the with Simon Company, and we went looking around all the barns and things. And
that's
it was
what it was.
fascinating.
Yeah,
we went to the big show there.
Yeah,
Right.
And wow, beautiful cows, beautiful cows.
Yeah.
So it was when I think it was a Maud cow, that sort of time. Maud cow was there. So and then I came and I thought, well, I'd worked with milk recorders. Let's have a go. So I did relief milking and milk recording, and that's where I met you, Andrew.
Yep.
And I think we added an hour onto the milking in those days because we talked too much.
It was.
Which doesn't normally happen, I hasten to add.
Milk recording usually has half an hour, and then you and I used to add about an hour because we were just talking cows too much. Yeah.
And then I stayed just milk recording, relief milking for a couple of years, but I wanted to progress, and I moved to CIS, who offered me, I think at that time I came in as an assistant, and for Somerset and Dorset, and I worked as an assistant, and then my regional manager left and I got promoted to full management and took over the south of England, which I still do.
You still do.
I'm still out in the field a lot. I'm still on farm a lot, and which I get told off. Don't I, Janette?
Yes, you do.
But you know, I like to work with the cows and speak to the people. And, you know,
be at the coalface.
and they get to know me, and then they don't forget me, do they?
No.
Contact is vital. That is,
Most people, once they know you, Karen, don't forget you.
No, say that with a smile, folks.
I think you're right.
Just to give you a little bit of history about milk recording. Milk recording actually started in 1903, and it was a gentleman called John Spear, and he was up in Ayrshire, and he'd been at Canada and he'd seen milk recording and how things went on. So he brought back his knowledge, and he started milk recording in small herds in Ayrshire, and then it's just developed from there. So 1903 was the start of milk recording in UK.
20 years. Yeah. And how it's changed over those years.
Well, that's why our original lab was called Spear House after him.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Because you've just opened a new lab.
That's right. We had the open day, but unfortunately you couldn't make it because someone had a birthday.
Yes, oldest child number one had a birthday. So, oldest child number one, that's the same thing. Sorry, child number one had a birthday. But anyway, so we are here today to talk about milk recording, and most people look at it and just go, oh, I get my litres, I get my butterfats, I get my proteins, I get my cell counts. That's it. But there's so much more to that.
Absolutely.
And so we're here today to talk about what information can you get from a pot of milk that gets sent off to the lab. Whoever does it, most are the same. There are little differences between yourself and NMR and etc. But so I guess really we're here to talk about what's in that milk. So once that sample, let's start then with, once that sample's taken, anyone that milk records know that that's done, that then gets picked up, or whoever takes it, what happens from there?
Well, I'd really like to say, not everybody might know how milk recording works.
Crack on.
Usually, there's two different ways. Either the farmer takes their own sample, and or we send someone in, a milk recorder. And they attend the milkings. When with the farmer, they have samplers or meters that will take milk during the course of the milking. And our milk recorders will then take a sample in a specific pot. And it's about 30 mils. You can either take, if it's done over the two milkings, because traditionally it was done in an afternoon milking, and then another sample was taken in the morning milking. And you would have put about 15 mils in each then, and total to 30 mils. But nowadays, factoring is really popular. If you've
done three times day milking, would it be 10 mil from each?
Yes. I must be honest, though, usually with the 3 times milking, we take the 2 samples, and then we just, on the third milking, the night one, take the yields.
Take the yield, that makes sense.
Okay.
So nowadays we only do one, do we? Or...
No, we still offer the full range. I mean, we provide a service at CIS, so for the farmer, and we fit in with the farmer's wants and needs as best we can.
There is more factoring though these days, isn't there?
Yes, I think COVID had quite a bit to do with that, because we had to limit the time that our recorders were in on farm, and then factoring came in, and a lot of farmers got used to it. And with the way that we factor up nowadays, we work out the balance of the fats depending on the times and everything else, and the yields and stuff, and it became very popular.
Right.
So it's just a one visit and in and out and done.
You see variance though, because I've had a client you'd see do it, and you can always tell which was the AM and the PM, because if it was the PM milk recording, his fats were a lot higher. If it's the AM milk recording, his fats were a lot lower. So you could see that, and in some ways it was a frustration, but it is what it is.
No, because if you add up your fats from the 2 months and divide by 2, you'll find that they average out.
Right.
Well,
okay.
For another, it can be very interesting for a farmer to see the difference in the balance in his fats from the PMs to the AM, and also if he alters the milking times,
I was just going to
see
say
the differences as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it can, 15 minutes can even have an overall effect.
Yeah.
I guess for the information we were looking for at the time, it didn't really work, because we were doing a feed trial on farm, and so we wanted to see, and it just made too big a variation for us.
In that case,
instance.
we go to the 2 milkings.
Well, I know, but he obviously wanted to do factoring, and we just left it because the whole point was it was to be as hassle-free as possible for him, and he basically did everything we wanted to do bar that, so we left it be.
When we start milk recording with a new herd, we will always go in and do the 2 milkings. Even if the farmer specifically wants fat, then we have his fats, and we know exactly the 24-hour period for him and specific to that farm, because you wouldn't believe how much farms vary. Get the little milk sample.
I bet.
Yeah.
You're being very quiet, Janette.
Oh, you do think, Karen. But one of the other things...
She's going to leave it all to you, isn't she?
The other thing I would say is it very much depends on the order that the cows are coming into the parlour. If the cows are split into high yielders or low yielders, and the high yielders coming in last at night and then first in the morning, that can cause quite a bit of fluctuation.
Yeah. So we've taken our sample. What happens from there?
Well, then the recorder makes sure we've got barcodes on our pots, and it's very important, and it links the sample to the cow. So we barcode them all in, the file gets sent off, and the samples get sent to our own lab in Telford. And as Andrew said, we've put a new lab now, which is very exciting. And there they go to the lab, they arrive at the lab, and they get scanned in again, similar to the way that you do at a checkout, those little hand scanners, they have one of those. And then they get sent into the lab. And I'm going to let Janette tell you about this.
About the scanners.
Yeah, about everything going into the lab, and about the FOSS machines and bits and pieces over the testing.
When the samples come into the lab, they are rescanned. They go into what we call a TLA system, and they are rescanned so that if the milk recorder has uploaded the milk file, then it will tally up with the milk file that is already there. If for some reason the milk recorder has not been able to upload the milk file at that stage, then they will be scanned again, and they will sit there until we get the milk file in from the milk recorder, and the results are then tallied up again. Samples then go through to either animal health or milk. Usually they go to the milk lab first. They are put onto the FOSS machine. They go into an air bath to start with. They're not put into water. They're actually put into what we call an air bath, so that all the samples are brought up to the same temperature. Then the samples are put onto the FOSS machine in batches of 10, and they are inverted 3 times. So they're turned over 3 times so that the butterfat disperses within the sample. There's a little stirrer comes down into the sample, and it stirs it. So there's quite a lot of work goes on. All this is automated. This is all automated by the RADSYS technology and the FOSS machines. So all this happens before the sample is even tested.
Wow.
So once the samples have been stirred, then the sample is taken out the pot by a little pipette that goes into the sample. And that's why we've got to be very, very careful that the sample is clean, because if there's dirt gets into the sample, grit or something like that, and it goes up into the pipette, then it causes major hassles with the pipette, and it means that we've got to replace it, and it slows down the process, unfortunately.
Does it happen often?
It can do, yeah, especially if samples have been, for some reason, they've been hand stripped. If something's happening, the farmer wants results and he's just hand stripped them. Yes, we do get dirt in samples.
So if he wants a cell count or something like
Absolutely.
that.
Or if the samples aren't working.
Yes.
They were often
yes.
Fair enough.
hand strip them.
Yeah.
So it looks like a long needle.
Yeah,
doesn't it, Jeanette? Sort of like
yes,
a long
it is.
needle.
It's just like a long glass needle, and
Assuming it's still automated at this stage.
Yes, it's still automated. Yeah, most of the work that we do within the lab is automated. We use barcode scanners to scan the samples on farm. We use it when we go into the lab to scan the samples as well. So yeah, a lot of it is automated. That's the only thing that is sort of done by hand, is the scanning itself.
Yep.
So once the sample is being tested, then it comes up on a screen. The results come up on a screen. It is then sent through to our processing team, and they marry up all the results with the test. Any queries at all, if there's some anomalies with the results, if they're out with the parameters, we say that the results for butterfats and protein should be within 0.02 of the bulk tank sample, and that's why we take the bulk tank, so that we've got something to measure the analysis by. So if it's out with that, then we can, retest the sample just to make sure that everything is okay. When they are testing the sample, every 100th sample, we do have what we call a pilot pot. Mm-hmm. And this is a sample that has been calibrated so that you know what the butterfat and protein cell count results are within that sample, and it's used to just as a double check to make sure that the machine is working properly, that there is no anomalies with the machine, and that the results are consistent.
Okay. Okay.
The machine itself, that we take our samples, we put them on racks of 10 in a rack. And the rack goes along, automated, and fascinating. It lifts the lid of our pots up.
Oh, wow.
And it reads the barcode, lifts the lid, and then the little dippers go in, and then off they jump in.
Yeah.
Honestly, you can...
Yeah,
you can just watch it.
I was just about to say, it sounds like the kind of thing you can just sit there and watch without even worrying about it.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, when we moved into Spear House, we wanted things as easy as possible for the milk recorder and for the lab staff. So actually went across to France to the company that makes the pots for us, makes the sample bottles for us, and makes the boxes that the samples go in. So everything is done so that it is compatible with the FOSS technology and the RADSYS technology. So everything is custom made for us.
It should say FOSS is a what's the word? A company that makes all the testing.
They make the testing equipment.
No, that's all right. Because I
analyzers.
Trust FOSS for other things as well, but they do a lot of machines for analysis.
Yes, they do.
Which obviously makes life a lot easier. And then once you've done milk, as you say, if you've got any health testing, then that
the samples are then taken through to the health lab, and then analysed for health or for pregnancy diagnosis. We also test for pregnancy diagnosis through a milk sample. So all this is done in a separate part of the lab. It's done in a separate health lab.
How many, just round figure, how many samples would you say are tested for preg testing? 10, 20, 40%?
I would say probably about 30%.
30%.
Wow.
Yeah, about 30% are tested for pregnancy. And we have two schemes. We have an ad hoc scheme where, our customers will just say, just randomly, just test these ones. Or we do have a scheme where they can test up to three tests within a lactation.
Yeah.
So usually it's sort of around about 100 days in milk, and then possibly around about 150, and then possibly 200, just as a double check to make sure that animal is still in calf.
before they dry them off, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
because when we're testing for pregnancy, we say we're testing for pregnancy, we're really testing for open cows.
Yes.
Not pregnant ones, yeah.
Not pregnant. You know,
Exactly.
that is so important
That's
to
the discussion I have with a lot of people. Whether it's through yourselves or with vets, however you do, everyone thinks it's about getting cows or testing for the cows in calf. Really, it's not. It's about testing for the open cows.
Absolutely.
And you can go and do something else about.
Yes.
Because if you don't know they're open, you can't do anything if that's what you need to do.
And because the milk testing is non-invasive for the cow, and it'll show up your problem cows, then you can take those ones for the vet to have a look at and examine more closely.
And you say less invasive, there's less chance of loss. I mean, I've only ever known one loss, but it does occasionally happen.
Some girls get very stressed, don't they, when they're queuing up for the vets? You can see it in them.
And to be honest with you, these days with ultrasound, it's a lot less stressful than the actual feeling the pregnancy sac.
Yes.
But most people say, as I mentioned, they look at it and go, oh, I've got my fats, I've got my proteins, I've got my cell count. Well, what more do I need? But there's so much more that you come out of that test, isn't there?
Well, as standard, we test for ureas and acidosis and ketosis as well. So those results are already there. And that is great for the farmer to be able to have a look at, to see the energy levels in his cows and everything.
For sure. If I remember right, I'm open to be corrected. You're the only ones that test for milk ureas, aren't you?
Individual.
Yeah,
individual as standard, yes. So there's no additional charges or anything for that.
We're not trying to sell you, Karen.
I can't help myself when I get there.
You can't, I know. But from my point of view, looking at it, having the individual ureas can make a difference, because if there's a massive variation, you can see that there's likely a lot of sorting going on out in the trough, and that's what some of your issues are if you've got dietary issues, and that's one of the things that it's not the only one at all, but that's one of the things that can show that yes, there is sorting going on by looking at the individual milk ureas.
And quickly.
Yes.
We did have a nice little graph on the website, so it's visual for the farmer as well.
Yeah.
Because the farmers are so busy and to be able to look at. And of course, as an advisor, as you know, Andrew, you can hop on and have a look at all of this as well.
Yeah.
And it's lovely. The same with the acidosis and ketosis. We have it in number form, so the animals are picked out, but also you have the graph as well, and you can sort of hover over and get your information. And then they can use the information and go and seek advice about it all and sort it out. So
what other things are you testing for as standard?
We do IBR.
Yep.
And we do the antibody and the antigen tests on the IBR. So that is, some people call it wild IBR, but it's for, you can see the cows that have been vaccinated and non-vaccinated. We can pick up the vaccinated markers and we can tell the difference.
That's important.
So that's where they use the antigen tests, and the BVD, we do the antibody and the antigens with that, and it's very popular. They like us to do BVD tests on the bulk sample. So that is what we call a PCR, an antigen, and that's accurate up to 1 cow's milk in 500. So we can pick up a problem with that. And also we do Neospora, Lepto as well, and liver fluke. And we do various other testing through the lab as well, but I think those are the main ones, including the pregnancy checking as well, and the yonis.
You have been very much doing your homework on the corporate speak here, haven't you, Karen?
No, I'm always like this. I don't have my posh voice on because I'm being recorded.
Believe me, when I go on to farm and do a sales talk, I still see the same words that I said a way back in the late 1990s, because it just becomes part of your routine. It really does. So Karen's doing a good job.
Anything in that case then?
She did mention at the end UNIS testing, which is a big factor. We do a lot of UNIS testing. There's over 55% of our herds now do quarterly UNIS testing.
What is the go? Because I was talking to someone. thinking of Yonis testing, when shouldn't people do it regarding to TB testing? Because I was in a conversation with somebody recently and they were being told, no, it doesn't matter. But I've always been told you've got to wait
60 to 90 days.
Yeah, 60 to 90 days.
Yeah.
45 minimum.
We can do it at 45. That is what IDEX recommend, that it can be done from 45 days. However, there is some trials going on at the moment regarding testing as soon as possible after the TB test, and it's looking for what they call true positive Yonis results. There's still a bit of work to do, but that's what they're doing at the moment, and they have found consistently high positive Yonis test results from those samples. But we tend to go, but we can do it, but it's on the pharmacy, so we don't test within 45 days. We actually have a flag that comes up on the milk recorders program. If the cow has been, she is under 45 days, then it does flag up. But there is trials at the moment, and I'm not disregarding it until we have the proof to say that.
But no, that was it. I can't remember where it was, but it was a couple of months ago. Someone's going, "Oh, we're being told it doesn't matter, just get on with it," and we're within sort of 30 days or whatever it was.
No, I wouldn't say no. It really has to be done within that first week after your TB test. Yeah.
So for the
it's got to be really quick. Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, as you say, it's 45
days. You'll end up with
days.
a tremendous amount of false positives.
Yes,
You can see the mistakes have been made.
Yeah, I've seen
and we've seen the results, and then all of a sudden you get a call, calamity, and
now I've seen it on farm. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But it is what's very good about the 45 days is that often farmers have to do the TB test every 60 days.
Yes.
If you're in that bracket, I sort of looked at that and I thought, well, how am I going to do Jones testing when I've got
You've got to time it very well, right?
We ask the farmer, and then when's your next test? And we say, okay, we'll come in just before that for you, give you the longest
2 days
gap
before
possible.
that.
Absolutely, and it has been done.
Yeah, good.
We also don't test the fresh milk either.
Oh, right.
We leave that 7 to 10 days because it's not proven, is it, Janette? But it's because of the thickness of the milk and the richness of the milk.
Yeah, so, for any fresh calf cows.
So we tend not to do anything 7 to 10 days after. They're just calved.
It's not worth it.
It doesn't seem to be 100% accurate. So and then they just get left in the next time.
Yeah, certainly those first 7 days, the results are so variable.
Yeah,
it's just not worth it.
I mean, a lot of the milk's kept out by the farmers anyway for the first 4 or 5 days.
Anyway,
so
exactly. But as I said, I like the report you get. That where you get the
colour, colour code,
the colour code,
traffic code,
the traffic code, and especially with animals out of animals that were high for Jones.
You're talking about the control reports that we have on there with the coloured blocks against them, and then the blue blocks for the young stock.
If you want to really knock it on the head, eventually that's where you'd start.
Yes, it's very good because particularly if people haven't really got into regular testing and they're not sure, and then they can hop onto the control report and just select young stock, and they're all there, and you can just keep an eye on it then, can't you?
Exactly.
I mean, that's
and do something about it. I always recommend that you use beef on those cows instead of Holstein on the cows. If it's Holstein, you can actually control it from the beginning.
Yes.
Someone said to me that once you start, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yes, totally. Yes. Yeah. And Yonis itself, it depends whether the disease is winning against the cow or the cow is winning against the disease.
But is it? Well, I'm just going to throw it. Why do you think Yonis become more prevalent? I know what someone said to me in the past, but I mean, if I go back 25 years before I went overseas, Yonis was never even spoken about over here, and
it was probably here though. Wasn't
it was probably here. Well, apparently my grandfather used to go on about John's disease.
Yes,
bad it was.
Yes.
But, it was never spoken about. And when I went to Australia, everybody just talked about Yonis. That was what everything mattered was Yonis. Particularly once you got in the southern states. Apparently, it wasn't in the northern states. It was too hot with a official line or something along those lines, but it was just never talked about. And then when I come back 10 years later, all everyone talks about is Yonis and how prevalent Yonis has got. It's become a big issue. Do you think there has been, do you think it was just always there? It was probably always there, bubbling along.
Yeah.
But what suddenly pushed it to the forefront, do you think?
Because more people are testing for it. A lot of the milk buyers now, they want to make sure that the milk that they have, from their producers, is as clean as it possibly can be. And they are doing, more testing. And I think that's why they're finding more cases, that it has been bubbling away, but it's just brought to the surface.
It's always been... what's the word? The link has never been found, but I know there is a lot of concern, isn't there, that there's a link between Yonis and a particular disease.
Yes.
And they don't want it to suddenly be like there is a disease, and we get like we did with the salmonella and the eggs. All of a sudden, milk crashes and nobody wants to know, and I'm touching wood very hard at this point, but let's be honest, that's some of why, as you say, some of the processors are wanting it. They want to be able to say, no, our milk is Yonis free, therefore if anything ever is discovered as a potential link, they can say we are sorted, we have been on this for the last 5-10 years and we are eradicating it from our producers' cows.
Yes. Yeah.
Not only that, Andrew, but if you've ever been on a herd that has Yonis and you've seen what happens to the poor animal,
I haven't. No.
She'll go from a wonderful fit animal 1 minute, and literally before your eyes, she'll go down to nothing.
She'll melt.
And it's awful to see. And it happens so quickly.
It's usually stress at calving, things like that. Usually kick it in. Isn't
they say it comes out when the cow's under pressure. Some cows carry it and they never have a bout, and others,
but it's usually found. I know, talking to farmers, if you've got cow with Yonis, or once you realise she's got Yonis, that usually explains why she usually has other health problems, because it suppresses the immune system on other issues and whatever else they hadn't realised, and they go, oh, she's a Yonis cow, right? That explains bang, bang, bang.
Right, she's got more mastitis or cell counts and harder to get in calf, and not quite milking quite the way she did. Lots of little things she's like, under par.
And we've seen it for probably all of my career, which just hadn't necessarily linked it. So we might have seen cows like that have just lost all their milk or just sort of gone backwards, and you think, I wonder what went wrong. You don't actually know.
We're trying to do more reports as well to sort of show this sort of thing in a clear way, and pick it out. And I think there's, Yonis is quite a thing really nowadays.
But we are the nice thing about it is because you're testing it we can control it now.
Well, I was going to say, as an industry, we should, I suppose, wave a flag in celebration on this. The fact that we are being proactive in trying to find Yonis, trying to eradicate Yonis for the very reasons that we said, but it's also, as we've just said, there's you have a healthier animal overall if you don't have Yonis in the herd, and we all want, dare I say it, happier, healthier, longer living cows. And if this is what we have to do to ensure it happens, and yes, it's all about what the public sees, perceives, what they want from us as well, but it's to our benefit as well, because if we've got a longer living cow, she's going to be more profitable over her lifetime. All of these things have benefits.
Absolutely. The health of the animal, health and welfare of the animal is very, very important to farmers. That really is. She's the one that's going to be supporting him. Absolutely, paying the bills. So they do want healthy fit animals to be able to produce more calves, etc. So yes, it is very, very important to the farmers.
Let's be honest, if you take that, your cost is rearing that animal to two, and dare I say it now as well, the carbon footprint from rearing those animals to two. So if you have a longer living animal that you don't need the same replacements, you're reducing your cost on replacements, you're reducing your carbon footprint on replacements. God, I hate saying that. it just feels like it's being rammed down our throat. Sorry, I'm going to say that.
But it's true.
But it's
You
true.
know,
But it's true.
true.
Well, it's
Yeah.
you and I say, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's efficiency.
Efficiency.
It's efficiency.
Yeah.
You can change sustainability for efficiency. It's you know, if you just do everything that little bit better, you get better at it. Whether it's reducing your carbon footprint or whatever it happens to be.
Never mind the coal price.
Well, yeah. But that's what we all want: longer living cows. I mean, I remember having a classifier in North Queensland, and I brought out all these older cows, and he's like, "Where are you getting these cows from?" Well, they're just, what we got here, and he's like, "I don't normally see animals this age, and you're bringing them out." And but why not?
Yeah.
What's wrong with having a 12-year-old cow if she's still doing the job?
Absolutely. Yes. She owes you nothing by that stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And her daughters will keep going on and go on and go on, and they're the cows you want.
Yes. Yeah.
But what other things can you? I mean, I guess I'm angling at it from a particular point of view, so I'm trying not to lead you too much.
No, I know. He's got a piece of paper here. Well,
well, see, I can't see that.
Certain reports.
Nasty lemonade.
What other things can you get out of the milk when you tested that milk sample? What other information is there available?
Well, we've told you about the cell counts, which is usually the main thing that the farmer wants to look at first and foremost, and his high cell count girls, and find out what's going on. The butter fat's also extremely important for the farmers that sell their milk.
Contract on a solid contract. Yep.
Lots of cheesemakers in our area, aren't there?
Yep.
Yes. So, and so that's really important for them as well. And then there's also the health testing. I'm skipping over what you want to know. He wants to know that we break down the fats into lots of different fats.
Which we do,
It's more what I would class as a professional's report. I'm not saying
you are right.
And you use them because certain reports need equations to balance them out, and spreadsheets and all the rest of the bits and pieces.
It is.
Which we do provide.
I am leading a little bit there, let's be honest.
I won't say the words, Janette.
Well, I will, Karen. I know that Andrew is interested in the fatty acids and looking at the breakdown of the fats within the samples. And so we do a fatty acid report. It is very basic fatty acid report. It is just the raw data that comes from the analyzers. We've actually, one of our processing team is actually on an ICAR young person's bursary at the moment, and this is something they're looking into sustainability, fatty acids, etc. And he has been to 3 different labs over the last year. He's been to one in Belgium, he's been over to LIC over in New Zealand, and he's been to Lactanet in Canada, and just looking at all the different things that they do within their countries. There is no worldwide analysis of fatty acids at this stage.
Okay.
So each country does a different way of doing it.
Yep.
And this is what this program is looking at, to see if there is a way that they can get a worldwide analysis of fatty acids, etc., to help every country and benchmark it against each other.
I was going to say, for a comparison, that's brilliant. Yeah.
I mean, from my understanding, this comes back from a project. I've been trying to remember the name this morning. Was it Project Optima or something like that? I cannot remember its name.
Yes,
was Project Optima.
It was Optima. Yeah.
From was it 10, probably 15 years ago now?
About 10 years ago, yes.
Yeah, and it was I think it was an EU project, wasn't it? And
it was an EU project, and NMR were involved. We weren't involved at that stage. There was one organisation from the UK, and it was NMR that was involved in it.
Looking at healthy milk, wasn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I know I'm lucky that I know somebody that a lot of people then sort of sat on the data for 5 years. Well, he took it and went forward with it, and I know others have now started. You look on websites, there is information there, but often, let's be honest, most people don't know how to interpret the information. Certainly, as you say, the raw data.
Mm-hmm.
But from my point of view, it's great because you can sit there and I should say to everybody, it should be standard on your milk recording that it's there. If not, you should just ask for it. It doesn't cost any more.
No, it doesn't.
But from my point of view, I can take that spreadsheet, I can play with it to my heart's content. Usually takes about an hour a herd, but I can look at the breakdown of the actual fats, and you know that yourself. You've got the C16, C18-1, C18-0, all sorts of different bits of information. And I'm going to pause, stay there a minute. I am going to chop something out.
It's a puppy doing something in the kitchen, and we can just see rustle.
He's eating something.
Oh, he's in the dustbin.
He's in the dust. Okay, it'll be a puppy then.
Yeah, he's a naughty little dog. He's getting at the lamb fat that was on the thing. Right.
Bless.
Okay, where were we? Yeah, so you've got this information, and I can analyse it to my heart's content. But if I look at individual bits of information, for argument's sake, I look at the short chain fatty acids, I can look at rumen function, and I know where the levels are, that if it's above or below that level, it is I have good or bad poor rumen function. Or you can look at body condition loss, and therefore you can look at it and see when your animals are back in positive energy, because they're no longer, the whole herd is no longer by that point is no longer losing condition.
In negative energy.
Thank you, that's the word I'm looking for. It's not in negative energy. And I know myself, most people sort of talk about a marker of 50 days. Well, I mean, I've had clients, we've sat there, I've gone through it, and we're back in positive energy by 35 days.
Yeah.
So it shows you that those, we are not losing. Cows are going to lose condition when they calve. It happens. But it's limiting that, because obviously then it has negative consequences down the line, whether it's in terms of lameness, in terms of fertility, whatever it is. So it's a good measure for me or whoever to look at it and go, well, these cows are now back in positive energy, happy days, we're doing something right. So there's lots of information there. Or M&S contract, you have to have a certain level of saturated, unsaturated fats. All this information is there if you know where to look for it and how to look at it. But as you said, farmers are busy. They don't. It's not something for them.
Precisely.
It's for someone like myself to look at it and play with it and present that data.
But we try and produce reports that make it easier for them to look at, and they can see quite clearly the energy levels through the ureas and see the acidosis and ketosis, the things that they can deal with immediately.
Yeah.
And then the feeding balance and everything is left for you, but it's still nice for them to have a quick look on and get a rough idea, isn't it? In the
but let's be honest,
limited time they've got.
But that information's going to come out of this fatty acids, isn't it?
Yes.
To be honest, it's an analysis, a quick analysis of that data.
Yes.
That's going to come from your fatty. So you can look, for argument's sake, if you're feeding C16, you can see whether you're feeding too much C16 because you've got too high levels in your fatty acid profile, and then it will tell you that you're feeding too much and you're basically wasting your time.
And all this comes out of that little 30ml milk.
Exactly.
So much more, than you realise.
Exactly.
When you're there with, it's milk recording again.
Yeah.
You should be thinking, it's milk recording again.
Well,
you get all this information.
It is, because I was, I've got to take from my point of view, astounded when again, you just think, it's just fats and proteins and okay, here we go. But when this information was given to me, I don't know, that's going back a few years now, 8-10 years ago, possibly now, the basics, it was like, wow, look at the information you can get out of there. The fact that we can tell if she's losing condition, is it, from the foot pad in a foot? Is it from elsewhere? Can we see what her rumen functions like? It's just amazing the amount of information that is actually there if you know where to look for it and if you get it. But it's like the world's getting almost, it's so much data, it's being able to then read, interpret and look at that data.
Well, part of our job is to produce it in a way that the farmers can look at it quickly and look at it on the website or the app or whatever, or in their paper report, so they can see it quickly. And it's lovely that from a professional point of view, you're getting all the information you need as well. But we're very keen on making sure that it's farmer friendly.
I think one of the most important things of milk recording is community data at the end of the year. If I'm going in the direction, I want to be able to see where I've gone.
Okay.
Compare
You're benchmarking.
Yes.
And,
My benchmarking becomes, I cannot do that without milk recording.
No.
There's no way that you can actually do it. There's no standard set that you can say, well, I don't need milk recording, I can do this.
Yeah.
And to me, that's vital. Like you very, very correctly saying, that's farmer friendly, because he can actually look at those graphs very quickly and actually see. And I keep sort of in the back of my mind thinking of silage and the different years of silage. You can actually work out where you've actually gone.
Yeah.
I've got no other way of working it out.
Well, I've got to be honest with you, I used to very often have a conversation when I was in Oz about milk recording, probably with my father, but I can't remember to be sure, so I can't blame him for everything. And you know, milk recording, especially when milk price dropped, was, and I guess that's what's happening here at the moment, was something that people would drop as soon as milk price dropped. Oh, I'll drop the milk recording. Milk recording doesn't matter. Now, that was before I knew about all this milk fatty acid profiling. And let's be honest, it's moved on in the last 10, 15 years massively. But to me, milk recording is one of those things that you should never do without, because that's where you know who your most consistent cows are, you know who your best producers are, you know, people in the past, systems in the past that wouldn't have worried about it are now looking at how many kilos of solids they're producing per kilo of live weight, and in the past they might not have worried about it in the same way. It was just literally put everything in calf in the first replacements the first 3 weeks, and then that was it. But they're now trying to find their best animals, or looking at your cell counts. How do you know? Because I often used to find milk recording. For me personally, I always struggled finding mastitis in front quarters. Because of my height, I missed seeing the swelling in the front quarters. If I ducked down, as I did one time with a member of staff, I could see the swollen quarter. I couldn't see it. But so to me, milk recording once a month was, once I'd got them, anything over a cell count of say 250 was CMT'd, and you'd pick up 1 or 2 cases of mastitis that you hadn't even realised were there, and it just backs into that. And how can you find those cows if you haven't got some way to test them? I know these days you've got inline equipment and all of that kind of stuff, but it just gives you so much information to decide on your breeding policy, to decide on your culling policy, to decide on so much more, that to me everybody drags and hates milk recording because it
You used to enjoy when we milk recording.
Milk recorders.
It's a catch up on gossip time.
I know, but you know, I mean, because it takes you that half hour longer to milk and all of these sorts of things, it does a lot. There are people that go, oh, milk recording again, but it's the information you get. It's how important that information is.
A lot of my farmers now go, okay, it's milk recording. Well, I'm going to be there and I'm going to be doing my cow numbers or whatever. And I'm going to take this time to maybe sort groups out or
check it,
check on, do they need tail trims, or do they need this, or do they need that? And they use that because they know they're going to have to be there on that day, and they get their data up together and everything, and so many other little things that all fall into place.
That's what you should be seeing every cow. That's what we were talking about earlier.
Use that time to accept once a month it's going to be that little bit slow, but use that time productively to be doing those other bits and pieces.
You know, there's all sorts of little things that they pick up on, and they use it and they go, oh, yeah. Apart from, as I said, a bit of gossip.
Oh, you like the gossip, don't you, Karen?
And then you're utilising the data. You're looking at the individual cow's results, but you're also looking at the herd results. You know, is your herd going in the right way? Not just your individual. Is your herd improving? You know, is there something that's lacking? Is your fertility coming back? Or your quality results coming back? It's not fulfilling what your milk buyer, your contract's wanting anymore. So it's looking at the whole thing. You know, we always say you've got to measure, monitor, and manage. It's as simple as that. You know.
And it's also exam results for the people that are giving you advice. So all of your advisors that have been telling you how to do it, well, at the end of the year, I can actually look what have we improved.
Absolutely.
I had such an excited farmer one day because I had to go and do a bit of training with him, and I was showing him where to find his acetosis and ketosis graph. And he looked at it and he went, I'm right. I said, pardon? He said, I've been telling my vet. I can't remember which one it was, whether it was acetosis or ketosis, but they'd had a disagreement, which it was.
Yeah.
And the graph clearly showed that the farmer was right. And he said, I'm going to tell him now, and he was there. The results over.
That's what we're saying, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's I guess it's like you're saying, if you can't quantify it, you can't measure it. If you
No.
can't measure it, how do you know?
plan.
You can't plan. Yeah, how can you? And to me, milk recording, forgetting about all the extras we've talked about, even just the basics of fat, protein, yield, cell count, can make or break. So, and that's why I also find it frustrating. And I expect you probably do, Karen. You know, I know when we took over in Victoria, the share farmers that had been there, it didn't matter to them if they had, what were we milking, 600, 700, 800 cows sort of thing. It didn't matter if they had 10, 20 pots that were wrong in terms of identification, and that just drives me mad. If you're going to do it properly. Stop trying to con yourself because this one isn't quite right or whatever it is. Get it right. Make sure every cow is identified properly, because really her life could depend on it if you're using that information correctly.
Well, totally. Yonis, but I'm known for liking things right.
Well, I know.
And getting things right. And sometimes it might take a little bit longer to get it right, but once you're there, it's easier to keep it going.
You've got to.
And particularly if it's life or death for the cow's decisions with yonis and other bits and pieces, and even pregnancy checks, because they might go, well, she's barren, and things. Got to get it right.
Got to get it right.
But we're finding it's not just farmers, it's not just our customers that's wanting the information. It's bank managers, it's accountants. They want to make sure that their customers are doing the best that they can for their business and are profitable. So there's various different people are looking at that data now just to make sure that the farmers is on the right track.
And when you come to do your yearly forecast for the following year, and you've got the information that we put through each month on the website, is fantastic, and it's there. Otherwise, they're there scratching their heads for hours.
And we should say it doesn't matter who does the milk recording in that.
No, totally not.
That information is there. People can use it, and so as I say, there are minor differences. Like I said, the individual ureas are standard and things like that. But otherwise, most of it, because we're here to talk about the benefits of milk recording overall. And we're waving CIS's flag while we're here, but it doesn't matter whether doesn't matter if it's you or NMR or whatever.
No, it's getting people milk recording.
The information is there for people to use it.
Yes.
And you just, if you don't know how to use it, talk to whoever you are dealing with, whether it's CIS or NMR or your nutritionist. Or I had someone ring me the other day about something to do. I said, you want your milk fatty acid profile? I had no idea what I was talking about, but because there are a lot of people that don't know this information there. Even on a professional side, you need to talk to people that can help you with this information, make the most of this information, and help you make some decisions if that's what's needed.
Yes.
Whether it's vets or nutritionists or geneticists.
And talking about that, the dairy show's coming up. Our local Southwest Dairy Show in October, and we will be there. That
will have been out by the time that will have been gone by the time this comes out.
I hope you came to see us.
And we should say that, because I know I'm going to say it. I know it's something that annoys you.
Okay.
You are usually on which stand?
The CIS Holstein UK stand.
But CIS don't just record Holstein, do you? You record anybody and everybody.
I have farmers that just record 2 cows, up to farmers that record thousands, using all different, from the people that just want to record their show cows, top pedigree, to I have got a farm that takes his parlour out into the middle of a field and milks his cows once a day. And so the full range of farmers.
Full spectrum.
They will tell you, and they know they're all as important to me.
It's just that I know there are some people out there who think CIS is a Holstein only.
No. We did full range of
services.
We will actually have more.
Exactly. So just wanted to get that little message out there for you.
Thank you.
We will have more herds that are non-Holstein pedigree than we will have that are you know, more commercial herds, and there's a lot of good commercial herds out there that are all but pedigree but in name. They just haven't gone down the line of getting a prefix and registering. But no, we will have more herds that are non-Holstein pedigree than are. It just so happens that we are owned by a breed society. That's all it is.
Started up, yeah.
Well, yeah, it is what it is. But sometimes I know people miss you, don't they, because they see the Holstein. They don't necessarily.
Yes, I think we were thought of originally as pedigree only. I feel, you know, but it never has been, has it? Janette?
No, definitely hasn't. Definitely hasn't.
Yeah, no, exactly. I did have a question, but my question has gone. So I don't know. I know. Getting old. I'm getting old. Neil, I'm going to hand this to you at the moment, and then just palm it off while I think what my question was. Have you got any questions you want to ask?
No, I think I've enjoyed it again. I obviously have a lot to do with CIS because I download a lot of information for mating programs and things like that. Fantastic. So I do use it quite often. I also use quite a lot of the other information. Was one of the things I've found and done a fair amount of research about it is I have to marry up the genetics and the real data.
Okay.
I love doing that. To actually see is that if I'm taking a farm down a route genetically, is that actually occurring in his bulk tank? And that's I have found a lot of correlations that we do go in the right direction. But once again, it comes back to that if we're not milk recording, I can't actually check my homework. So I can do it genetically, but I can't do it physically then. So it's vitally important that I have both of those to actually take herds forward and that we can actually see where we're going. So we do appreciate the work you guys are doing.
I'd just like to say that some people might be put off because they think, oh, they've got to milk record every single month. Well, you don't. There's loads and loads of different services that we offer, and they fit in with all sorts of different herds in different ways. Milk recording, you know, and we've got this new 10-7 is the latest way of milking. 10 times in 7 days, you know. There's always changes.
For your seasonal guys, it's vital, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we fit in with all of them. So if someone's thinking they really want to milk record, but they think, oh, it might not be or fit in or whatever.
It will.
Give us a call.
You'll fit
will.
Absolutely.
I know what my question was going to be. Where do you see the future of milk recording?
I think milk recording will continue. I think it'll increase. Possibly frequencies will change depending on, you know, technologies there that we can get a lot of information from parlor software, from third-party software, etc., that can analyze information every day. So I think that frequencies will possibly change from traditionally monthly to longer intervals. But I think that, you know, as herd sizes are increasing, because they are increasing, they will, you know, number of herds will get less, but the herd size will increase. And I think milk recording will become more important even than what it is at the moment.
Do you think, you don't have to answer this because obviously what you're doing is, but is there anything exciting coming from you in the future maybe that you can tell us, or, you know, what developments can you talk about, or is it you're smiling as if to say, right, I'm talking about
yes, we do have a lot of plans now that we've moved into our new laboratory. It gives us more room. It gives us a chance to look at different testing, you know, not just stay off a milk sample, but some of it is off a milk sample. But it gives us the opportunity to look at other testing that would help our customers, especially now that, you know, carbon footprint is a big thing, and sustainability as well. So yes, there is other things that we are looking at, and as we've mentioned about the fatty acid profile, looking at this in conjunction with ICAR. To try and get a model that is going to work for this country and for worldwide.
I think we're probably getting time to sort of draw this to a close.
Absolutely, because I'm drying up a little bit. No, I can keep talking. Janette knows me well.
Oh, I know you well.
That's very exciting anyway.
Any last words of wisdom from Janette?
Yeah, I would just say that if farmers just use the information that's there, the information is there to help them, and look at your cows on an individual basis, but also look at them as a herd, and look at your benchmarking, look at your brinkmanships. Where were you 5 years ago? Where are you now? And where do you want to be in 5 years? So it's just utilising the information that's there. The information's there to help you. Utilise what is there to.
Absolutely.
It is, because it just made me think of somebody that was offered a milk contract, and they weren't milk recording. Oh, is this extra couple of pennies worth a penny a litre, worth milk recording? Well, it was, so they did. But there are still some people, I think, that dread milk recording.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's, as much as I hate to say it now, it's all about the data. It's all about what you can do with that data, and that's what it is now. It's using that information to pick your best and your worst and move forward with it.
Yeah, and we found that in 2017 there was some EU money available in Wales and Scotland, and that money was there as long as they milk recorded. They had to milk record for a year, minimum of 4 tests per year, and they got money back, and they got their milk recording paid for. And there was very, very few herds at the end of that year stopped milk recording.
Yeah,
they realised the benefits that they could get. They thought a lot of them were family farms. They thought they knew everything within their herd. They didn't need to milk record. But once they got the data, once they realised the volume of data that was there and the usefulness of it all, they continued on milk recording.
It is, you say, like some people only milk record quarterly, but it's still the information.
It's relevant, yes.
Or the 4 times in the year for block calvers in particular.
It doesn't have to be quarterly per se.
No, it can be 4 tests per year.
Quarterly.
Yeah.
I would just like to say, if people milk record or don't, and they're not sure where to find the information, just call us. And we'll come over and we'll either go through it on the phone or do a one-to-one of just showing them where to find bits and pieces that are good for them. And once they get on and have a look around, then they're away with it. But I know sometimes it's just too much information.
Right, exactly.
So please, we are here.
Technology is moving on. We have our website, we have our own app, so the farmer can actually look at his mobile phone. And for the young ones, that's where they want their data. They want it on their phone.
I've been on farms where they literally, what can you tell? And they literally pull out the phone. And they can tell you then and there. And
they can tell you when she can tell you when she calved, when she was last served, what her last cell count information was. They can put in treatments. Being able to do that standing in the middle of a field rather than having to come back to the office and writing it in the diary or putting it onto the computer is just, they find that invaluable to them.
Exactly. Or as you say, it's me wandering around writing a list of numbers. We can literally do it then and there.
Yes.
Well, I hope not, because I can't lose my little black book.
We always used to speak about writing it on the back of a cigarette box. But
you don't need to. You put it into that phone.
You put it in a phone, not your cigarette box.
Well, you could argue, you could ask which is more addictive. Actually.
Probably the
phone. That's actually fair.
So, any last words of wisdom from yourself, Karen?
Well, I think I've covered most of it, believe it or not. But, please, if you're not sure, just give us a call and have a chat with us.
Yeah,
excellent. Yeah,
exactly. Neil?
No, thanks. That was great. I think we've said enough. I've said enough. So
I think
we enjoyed it. Yeah,
I think we have. So I think on that note, I'd like to thank Janette. I'd like to thank Karen very much for their time this morning while we record this. And other than that, really, thank you very much.
Yeah,
and I guess it's a goodbye, and we'll speak to you all next time.
Yeah, goodbye.
So, bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
And now for the really boring bit, I'm afraid, the legal disclaimer. The information provided during this podcast has been prepared for general information purposes only and does not constitute advice. The information must not be relied upon for any purpose, and no representation or warranty is given to its accuracy, completeness, or otherwise. Any reference to other organisations, businesses, or products during the podcast are not endorsements or recommendations of ChewintheCud Limited. The views of Andrew Jones are personal and may not be the views of ChewintheCud Limited, and the views of Neil Greggor are personal and may not be the views of Viking Genetics and any affiliated companies. For more information on the podcast, articles and details of services offered by ChewintheCud Limited, visit www.chewinthecud.com. Thank you and goodbye.